I'm going to start with the S&P 500 and look at the bearish and bullish count, and then we'll look at the DAX and the FTSE and see where they are in their places. So with the S&P 500 here, from the low in the bullish count, we're looking at wave 1 and 2 here, and then 1 and 2 here. And we do have an impulse wave here, that's 5 waves, and if we get an impulse wave in the opposite direction of the current trend, that means we're going to get another push up here. Now, it is possible we can look at all of this as a bearish pattern. So if we just go back to the larger 50k tick here, we can look from the low here as an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down here for wave 1. And then because we got 5 waves in this direction, we'll get a correction and then another 5. So at this point here, we can move down from this point. Okay, so that's one thing that we need to work through. Now going back to the 20k tick chart where we've got our bullish count here, when we look at stocks that are driving these markets, such as Apple for instance, we could even just have a look at Apple. Let me just get that chart in play here. So with Apple here, we've also, like the S&P and the Nasdaq, got 5 waves up here. So if we get 5 waves up here, it's likely that we'll get another 5 waves. Well, we'll get 1 and 2 and 3. And it's not going to finish in 3 waves up here, so it's likely to have 5 waves at that point, at minimum, and then have some type of correction at that point. So it's likely that we will get those 5 waves there. So in this case, it's likely the weight is to having 5 waves here for possibly another wave 1 here and 2 and 1 and 2. Now, our trading will be over on this wave 2 and this wave 2 here. We are currently long in here, but I'm just saying this so you've got an understanding of where the momentum is in the US market. So, but all I can say for sure in terms of Elliott is that we have 5 here, so we'll have a correction, which we're having now, and then we'll have another 5. That's all we can do. It's possible at that point that the market can come down here, but when we look at stocks, it's giving a little bit more weight to having a 5-wave move to the upside and wave 2. Now we'll trade up to this point, get out, and then we're going to wait, and then if we can see that this is corrective here, then we'll start building in through here and also over here for that. If it's going to be a bearish count, well then we'll be looking for the bearish side over here. We're traders, so we just want to be with whatever trend is happening. We don't need to have emotional opinions that are going to get us into strife at that point. So over to the DAX, which is a slightly different pattern, but I think it's worth noting too, if I just go back to the S&P 500 here for a moment and just go to the daily chart, I'll bring that back across in a moment. So with the DAX here, it's probably any market outside of the US that's affected by the US dollar, it's normally got this particular pattern moving up through here. Now I've just counted it as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and going up for wave 5 here, and we'll talk about this top in a moment. The other way to count this, if we think about it, we've got that move up there. If we bring the S&P across, and a lot of the US markets are like this, not all of them. The Dow Jones is not quite like this. The Dow Jones is more like this, like the DAX, but as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here. So in that case, there would be a possibility to look at this over here as wave 1 here and wave 2 over here, and then looking at this as wave 1 and 2 over here for this, in that case, you know. So there's 2 ways that I'm looking at this, which is right or which is wrong, doesn't really matter at this particular point in time. But the idea with Elliott is that, well, for me, my side is to look at, if I'm going to go long, I want to know the bearish count. If I want to go short, I want to know the bullish count too. You know, I don't want to stick my head in the sand. And if there's more than 2 counts, well, then I want to know about them. You know, I need to validate them and delete them as necessary. So that's the situation at the moment, and like the S&P, as I just mentioned with the S&P, we've seen this 5-wave move up here, so that means we're going to have a correction and then another 5. So the same with the DAX here, we're having 5 waves up here, so it's likely we're going to have a correction and another 5 up here. Okay, so that helps us with the momentum of side of things, and we'll have a look at the US dollar in a moment when we come closer to having a look at the cable and euro dollar. So on the 20k tick chart here, where we keep a bullish count, this would be one case here where we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then going up for wave 5 here. Now in this case, as I just mentioned with the S&P, is that the S&P's got 5 waves up here, so, and it came from this low here in the opposite direction of the trend. So that's likely now that we looked at this yesterday. I'm not sure what I was talking about then. Sometimes I don't know what I'm talking about at all. But if we get 5 waves here, in this case it's taken out the top. So we could put wave 5 and so on here. But if the market's going to follow the S&P, then it's likely that we're going to have a correction here and then another 5 up. Now if we're going to have another 5 up, well then it's not going to end in 3 waves, it's going to end in 5 waves. So we should really be looking at 5 waves to the upside. So this would end up being up here at this point. So what this does, it enables us here at this particular price point to look for a classic trading levels pattern here. So we want to be looking for some type of ABC pattern here across a particular number. So we'll be looking at it like this. We'll find that price point and we'll be looking for this pattern to go long on. So we'll start from the top and then move down and look for the entry here, and then look for the entry over here as well for that. So while this is pushing up here, we can expect the US dollar to continue to push to the downside. We need to confirm that yet, and I'll show you what price point that would be validated at as well. And this would be in line with the S&P at this particular point in time. Let's just move in. This is the slightly different count where we've got the DAX here as 1 and 2, and then coming up here. Let me get all this together a little bit. So in this case we'll be looking at 1 and ABC for 2 here, and then 3, 4 and looking up here. So then we've got to look for it. In one way or another we should be looking for some type of top after 5 waves. Okay, so that's the main point at that point. Now will it pull back here, will it do this and that? That's something we need to talk about. Well, what we need to focus on at the moment is capturing this particular move to the upside here. So there's probably 5 waves coming to conclusion at this point, and we can look at 12.6. We might just go a little bit closer in here because the numbers are 5, and then after 5 is 8. And then when we talk about 8, we talk about group 2, which is 650 here, 15,650, 15,650 here. I might just go to the intraday to do all of these. I'm a bit far off here, but I'll just put that there, and we'll just, now that we've talked about that, we got 5 waves here. We'll be looking for this, some type of correction here. So we need to move in a little bit further. I'm not sure what I've updated here, but I'll just go in. It's probably not updated. Okay, well this one's kind of interesting because the situation here is that we've got group 2 in here. So talking about the trading levels now. So let's assume that we're very close to having 5 waves up here, and we'll see what's Asia doing at the moment. Probably not. Oh, it doesn't matter. So we'll be looking for, let's just fill in the dots here for this. So B wave and a C wave down here somewhere. So we should be experiencing something like this, because it looks like a little 4th wave in here. So we'll just call that wave 1 at the moment, and we'll look for the A wave, the B wave, and the C wave down here. So what we're looking for, it'll probably come back and test, markets like to test trend lines and things. So where's the 50-60% up here? Let's just plonk that in. Got a starts somewhere. It may or may not come back to this level, depend on the S&P. So, but in a nutshell, we'll be looking for 3 waves to come back. Now, this 5 is the second strongest number. The 15 doesn't really matter that much at this point, but the 500 is more important. So we'll be looking for, even if it makes another high here, and we'll check on the intraday here in a minute, but it doesn't really matter. What we're looking for in one way or another is we're looking for that B wave here. And also, let's go further in now. Let's just check. But this is group 2 here, so 15,650, and you can see that it's struggling here. If it finds support in here, then it's going to climb higher. And if it climbs higher into group 2 here, then it's going to have this ABC correction in here, and it'll stay in there at that point and move up from that point. So it's very subtle, the 650, but you can see that's playing out. It was important here as well. It's another story, but let's going to cut through. I better check 1000, just check, see what I've done here. I haven't done anything, so that's good news. This is 100 ticks. How come I haven't done anything here for this? Let me just check. No, I haven't done anything here for a while. I thought I had it somewhere, maybe it was on 2K. No, it's just getting worse, so I'll just have to leave it. I'll just check one again just to make sure that we've got there. No, I haven't done anything on any of those, so I'll leave that. But yeah, we'll just talk about it a little bit further from this point of view here. So we really want that that pullback in here. So we can expect that to happen on the Tuesday. So we'll pick this up tomorrow on all of this, but that's where we're looking at. But I did want to have a look inside there. I'm sure I had done this somewhere. Yeah, I mean, it can be 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and finish up a little bit higher here. That's the thing. But it doesn't really matter. This trend, look, you don't need to be Einstein. This trend here, that needs to be corrected. So that's what we're waiting for. And you can see here that the strength of the trend, the steam's all coming out of it at the moment. So it doesn't really matter. All you need to do is patience. Don't get involved in this at the end of the trend. You know, you always get the opposite of what you're looking at. If you're looking at a trend, then you're going to get a correction. So it's not like the real world when you go to buy something like a car or a suit or a girlfriend or something. So you always get the opposite. So let's check out the the next one. So this is the we're over to the UK market now. So this is the 250 here. It's a bit of a tricky count, but basically it does appear that we've got, sometimes it's easy to count, sometimes it's tricky. We've been counting it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here. Then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. Not the best impulse wave down, and it overlaps and all the rest of it. But we're basically looking for the B wave and the C wave to come into play here. So the English market's on a different footing than the other market. So that's the 250. So it still needs to have this move down here. And we think the UK 100 is much the same as well. Now, I can look at this from the top here and look at this as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here, and then 3 here, 4 here, and 5 here, and then the other bit here. So this 1 and 2, 1 and 2. So there's 5 waves to that point. That's what I'm trying to say. We've got a B wave here. Now the market could go up further. We could put this here as an A and a B and a C wave up here. We still need the C wave here. It's quite probable that we'll go up here further. That's corrective. If that, for day traders, if that top's taken out, you can trade long. But I'm just not interested in this. You know, if we were trading this, we'd trade up to this 5,000, 8,000, get out, wait for the correction here, and we're not there yet. So we still need, you know, we still need something like this. This is what we need. So we need to be over here for this. So we could trade this up here maybe. That's not a big deal, but this is the arrival, this is the reaction, this is the first high above the level, this is the ABC correction, and then we can go from this point. So that's what we're looking for here. Yeah, so as I've mentioned before, we're just not going to get involved in this mess here. I know it's just not going to do us any good. Okay, it's not. It's only for scalpers that can see little things in there. So we're not interested in this market for quite some time, actually. And that brings us over to the US dollar. Now, what I want to talk about with the US dollar, we know in the bigger picture here, let's just go to the daily chart to get some sort of perspective here on this. Now, there's different ways to count this up here. We know that the move down here is in 5 waves because the things like the euro dollar and the Aussie dollar, they've done the mirror opposite to this, and the DAX has done the mirror opposite to this, and so on and so on. So what we want to do here is we want to get some idea of the 50-60% retracement level, which will be here. So it doesn't have to come to the 50% or the 61%. It could come to the 40, 50, 60, 70, 80%. Really, it could do anything it wants. You know, sometimes it hits it right on the 61.8%, and everybody goes, "Oh, you know, there's a full moon again or something." And I think there is a full moon. So, yeah, but anyway, what we're trying to do here is that we're just trying to make heads or tails of this current situation. So I think we still got further to go up in all of this, and it is possible to put this 4th wave there and a 5th wave there. But what I'm thinking now is I'm thinking that we've got the A wave here, a B wave over here, and then we're going to be pushing up here. So while this is pushing down, we're going to see the DAX, the euro, dollar, the S&P 500, all of those move to the upside, and then there'll be pressure when this comes on here. Now, it is possible we could also look at this here. Yeah, I won't go into that, but look, it puts us up at 108 on the DXY, right? So currently in this little space here, we're going to go back in and just shoot the breeze on that. And the reason we're going to shoot the breeze on this is really to get a bit of an idea on the euro dollar. So what we can say here is that from wave B here down to here, we can count 5 waves. We can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right onto that low there. So what I can say is that low there gets breached. And I better bring that down a bit. If that gets breached, then you know that we're going to come down as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And as this is coming down as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we're going to see the DAX push up, the euro dollar push up, the pound push up, and whatever other markets that are affected by the dollar at that particular point. Now, there is a chance, because this particular move, that from that high, this pattern is either going to be wave B or wave 4. And if it's going to be wave 4, it's going to sit in just in here, and this will be an A and a B and a C. And the reason for that is because this move here, coming down here, is in 3 waves. So it's either a flat correction or it's going to be a bigger move into the B wave here, because B waves and wave 4s are always a pain in the ass. And yeah, so this move up here, I could look at it as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. That's one way to look at it. I could go a WXY, I could do this, I could do that. It doesn't really matter which way you want to dress it up. We've got to figure out, you know, we haven't really hit our target up at 108 yet for this. You know, we should be up there, somewhere up there, you know. I don't think we're going to be coming straight down here, and we've got a top in play here, because this little moves in 3 waves. So we'll either go up from here, or we go up a little bit, hit this trend line again as a retest, and then come down here. And while this is coming down, and we'll count these 5 waves down, because when we get to the end here, we're going to have a top in the cable, and the euro dollar and the DAX and the S&P, and we'll have to work our way through that, and so on and so on. Okay, so that's, if that low gets breached there, then you know where we are, we'll be coming further down. But I do expect, you know, from this low here, I think that's 5 waves from here to here. You need to check, but it's probably we'll get some sort of ABC coming back up and checking that trend line or something, banging its head against it, and then dropping at that particular point. So yeah, that's sort of where we are at this point in the dollar, so I'm just going to move that to the side. So while this is possibly continuing to push down here, we're going to look at, this is the euro dollar here, so I'm going to look at it a little bit differently today. We have been looking at it like this anyway, been looking at it a couple of different ways, but this is where I'm up to today. So this move down here, I'm going to consider the A wave, and I'm going to consider this the B wave going up here. So while the dollar index is going down to its B wave, the euro dollar can go up to its B wave here, and the DAX can push up, and you can do some push-ups too. So this this move that's coming up here, well, the first thing here that becomes really obvious is that this particular move here is in 3 waves. So what that tells us is that it's likely to be corrective. Now, I could be totally wrong here, and we could have a low in place, and this would be wave 1 and 2, and 1 and 2 here. But it has come down quite deeply here, so it's probably better suited as a B wave, because wave A and wave C have got a bit of equality to them. And as a wave 2 here, if this was wave 1 and wave 2, this has taken more time than it needed to on this particular move here. It only should have come down around here somewhere and pushed up. So it's likely that this is a corrective pattern here, and we're going to see push up here. Now what I can do here, I can count 5 waves in here. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. We could count that as 5 waves, and we could count that as 5 as a corrective wave. That needs to go there, and we could put that here. But we're still pretty short from being up here, aren't we, you know? And if the DAX is going to go up, well, then this is going to go up. So we're going to have to stretch this up a little bit. We're going to have to put wave 3 up there, wave 4 there, and wave 5 here. And then we're going to have to look at this as wave 1 and 2 in here. So I'm kind of getting into the guessing game here a little bit, but it'll be something like this, you know, and it may stretch up further. I don't know, we'll just take it as it goes. We're also in group 2 here, so we got 5, that's important, and then we've got, after 5, we've got 8, so there's 8 here. And when we talk about 8, we talk about group 2, which is 65 and 72 in there, or 72 and a little bit, so we turn that orange there. Not that it means anything, it's just a design visual thing. So we're entering back into group 2 here now, so and that's our target area up here at 108. We call 8's the 3rd strongest number, and we call that a profit taking number as well, so the bids will be getting smashed at that point. So that's kind of where we are really with the euro dollar, I reckon, and we'll be looking at you know, the A wave, the B wave, and and the C wave coming down here. So I think that's the case, and this will be the same for the Australian market as well, for any Aussies that are looking at this situation. So it will drag the because the dollar will drag around the resources. So that's that, and then we come to the cable. So the cable's in a different basket here. Now with the cable, we can only count 3 waves up here. We've got 5 waves here, we've got this, it's a little bit messy in here, but we don't have 5 waves here. We've got 5 waves from here to here. So this is corrective, even though it may, depending on your platform, because we know that all platforms are slightly different, because when you're getting an FX feed, it could come from, you know, it could come from, you know, a dozen different sources. And what that does is, when, especially when you're up in the market, when you're in market makers, so with prices, you'll end up with a band. So there'll be this lower end of the band, and then you'll have a band here as well, and there'll be 12 different banks in there, say, so they'll all be different prices. So the algo will just pick up whatever it needs to. It can work inside of that price band to give you prices. So, and that's the beauty of market making as well. They can do it within reason. It's not like a futures contract. Anyway, point being here is that this is corrective, and it does appear that this is going to be corrective. So I'm kind of thinking that we'll need this A wave, B wave, C wave, and then some sort of A, B, and C over here, so we can get a rally over here, and then we can come down here. So while the euro dollar is coming down for wave C over here, this will be coming down for wave E over here. Now, if I've made a mistake, the mistake would be that this is 5 waves here, but I've got this as an A wave here, then an A and a B and a C wave here. So I'm thinking about 5 waves up there. So that little dot box is the 50-60%. Because we've got 5 waves here, it's possible that we can come down and do this here, but I don't think it's the case. I'm not calling any trades here. But if this low is breached here, then you'll need to look at this as 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5. So it'll be coming down further at that point. But yeah, I think that I think the pound is in some sort of triangle pattern here by the looks of it. So let's just see how that moves out. If it moves up here, and then we'll count 5 waves up here, then we'll know where we are. We'll be in wave D, and our buying will be over here. So it will probably be around the equinox. You know, if you go back in history, you'll see the equinox is always quite good for the beginning of a bullish market. It's just when they do the accounting for grains and all of those sorts of things, and then that ties into the tax cycle as well. Yeah, that's about all I know here. So I can't call any trades in here. I think the best trade that will come will be from the DAX in that pullback. So this is the DAX here now, the same as the S&P. So the move up here, all we're looking for is, like I said, there could be another little 3, 4, 5 top in here, but at some point you're going to see a 3-wave move here, and it should be, as it's a wave 1 and 2, it should be 5 waves here, 3 waves here, 5 waves here. So it's a zigzag, it's a 5-3-5 structure, and then you can go long above the B wave at that particular point in time. And maybe tomorrow we can have a look, and we'll see if we can, the first little impulse wave, you don't want to buy on the low, you want to wait for the first impulse wave to move up, and if you can work it around a large number, that's good, because then you can control your risk at this point, because you want total control over what you're doing. If you buy at the low, you need to make sure that you're really on the ball at that point. You need to make sure that wave C is on more of an angle than wave A, so it's reluctantly going down. You'll need to know that there's 5 waves in there, and it won't be a guessing game. You need to know that as a fact. And then I'd still wait for a little 5 waves up, because you're not going to miss much really, because it's going to pull back 40, 50, 60, 70% anyway. Do you know what I mean? And then just use a classic trading levels pattern, add wherever that number might be. It might be at 600, or 400 or something. But yeah, but we'll pick that up tomorrow. I think we've got a little bit of time for all of that. So nothing really to do today. You can go back to sleep. Alrighty, cheers.